For a long time, I believed that betrayal would always be the chapter that defined my life. Whenever I looked back, I saw broken promises, painful memories, and the moment everything I believed in fell apart. I thought those memories would follow me forever, reminding me of what I had lost instead of what I had gained. But time has a remarkable way of changing our perspective. It doesn't erase the past. It teaches us how to live beyond it. One evening, nearly a year after everything had happened, I found myself standing in front of the same house where so many of my happiest memories had once been created. The neighborhood looked exactly the way I remembered it. The trees still swayed gently in the evening breeze. The sidewalks were just as familiar, and the quiet streets hadn't changed at all. For a moment, I simply stood there. Not because I wanted to go back, but because I wanted to see how much I had changed. Months earlier, that place represented heartbreak. Now it represented survival. I smiled, not because forgetting had become easy, but because remembering no longer hurt the same way. That was the moment I finally understood something I wish I had known from the beginning. The greatest victory isn't watching someone who hurt you face the consequences of their choices. The greatest victory is discovering that your happiness never depended on them in the first place. That realization gave me a freedom I had never experienced before. The anger was gone. The endless questions had disappeared. Even the desire to prove anything to anyone had quietly faded away. I no longer needed validation from people who had chosen dishonesty. I only needed peace with myself. Life slowly filled the empty spaces that betrayal had left behind. New opportunities arrived when I wasn't searching for them. New friendships grew naturally. Simple moments, morning coffee, long walks, quiet conversations, and unexpected laughter became reminders that joy often returns when we stop chasing the past. Looking back, I realized I hadn't lost everything that day. I had only lost the illusion that some people deserved my trust. And although that lesson came with pain, it also gave me something far more valuable. Wisdom. Today, when people ask how I moved forward, they usually expect me to share some secret. There isn't one. I simply made one decision every single day. I chose not to let someone else's betrayal become the story of the rest of my life. Instead of allowing bitterness to grow, I chose growth. Instead of living for revenge, I chose peace. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" I began asking, "What can this experience teach me?" Those questions changed everything. If you're listening to this story while carrying your own heartbreak, remember this. Someone else's decision to betray you does not decide your future. It doesn't reduce your value. It doesn't erase your kindness. And it certainly doesn't define the person you're capable of becoming. Sometimes life removes people from our path, not to punish us, but to make room for something better. At first, it feels like loss. Later, you realize it was protection. The truth is, karma doesn't always arrive in dramatic ways. Sometimes karma is simply watching someone lose the trust they once took for granted. Sometimes it's seeing honesty rewarded while deception quietly falls apart on its own. And sometimes the greatest karma of all is living a peaceful life that no longer depends on those who chose to walk away. As I closed that chapter of my life, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a very long time. Gratitude. Not for the betrayal itself, but for the strength it forced me to discover. Without that painful chapter, I might never have learned how resilient I truly was. I might never have realized that endings often become the beginning of something far greater. So if this story leaves you with one lesson, let it be this. Protect your peace. Trust actions more than promises. Never ignore the quiet voice of your instincts. And remember that every ending creates space for a new beginning. I honestly believed my journey was finally over. I believed there were no more surprises waiting for me. I couldn't have been more wrong. Because just when I thought I had left the past behind forever, a single unexpected message appeared on my phone. It was from someone I never expected to hear from again. And what it revealed would change everything, one more time. I kept telling myself that love required trust, not suspicion. So I forced myself to ignore the uneasy feeling growing inside me. Every strange excuse had a reasonable explanation. Every cancelled plan could be blamed on bad timing. Every late-night message was probably harmless. At least, that's what I wanted to believe. But no matter how hard I tried, the feeling wouldn't go away. It followed me into quiet mornings, distracted me during meetings, and lingered in my mind long after the day was over. I hated doubting someone I loved. I hated questioning memories that had once brought me comfort. So I made one final promise to myself. No more overthinking. No more imagining problems that might not exist. I would trust the person I loved and leave my fears behind. For the first time in weeks, I felt a small sense of relief. Maybe I had been wrong all along. Maybe stress had made me see things that weren't really there. I decided to stop searching for answers. I convinced myself that tomorrow would be different. But life has a strange way of revealing the truth when you least expect it. The very next day, an unexpected change in my schedule sent me home much earlier than usual. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't trying to catch anyone. I simply walked through the front door, expecting an ordinary afternoon. Instead, I noticed something that immediately made my heart sink. The house was unusually quiet. Then I saw something that didn't belong. In that instant, every excuse I had accepted, every promise I had defended, and every doubt I had tried so hard to silence came rushing back at once. I froze where I stood. Deep down, I already knew that whatever waited beyond the next room would change my life forever.